everybody? It's another episode, an emergency episode of the DNVR Rapids podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Carroll, aka Mitchell, aka Bring them back, baby. Bring them back. Bring them all back. Bring me Kellen. Kai Kamara's somewhere out there, probably. Bring them all back. Bring them all back. Obviously, huge show. It's the Sammy Vines reunion. Not official yet, but well on its way. He's flying into Colorado to finish up some medicals and the rest of the deal. Joining me to break it down are the fellas. Super Yaya.
Look at this. A nice mountain beach on a nice mountain day. Look at that.
Perfect. And what a way to pop that off. That's just awesome.
That's one for the boys, baby. We back.
Love that. Duane Brown in the house. Samtown Duane Brown.
Oh, man. Is there better news on an subarctic frozen ice age world day than the heat wave at Dick's Sporting Goods Park right now?
It's crazy, bro.
It's awesome. I feel like I could just walk over to the Dick and just warm everybody warm in the glow of the Colorado Rapids offseason.
Look at our guy Buff for BCS. John, my guy, welcome back. Welcome back. I think that's where we start.
It's like right when you think you're gone, right when you think you're done with this team, they pull you right back in and you're good to go
back in. Is this the best offseason in Rapids history?
It has to be up there. I think this is the first offseason in a long time where they're hitting on players that are proven commodities, not just high potential young guy that might become something in 2 to 3 years. They're going out and getting 25-year-olds, 24-year-olds that can contribute to the squad immediately and still have some sort of market value in a year or two if they're trying to move off from the contract or trying to get ahead or trying to look at other options, which is exactly what you want a team in the MLS to be, right? When you see MLS Cup contenders, that's what you see all over the board. You saw with MC Cincinnati, they had 2 amazing strikers up front. They had Brenner, they had Brandon Vazquez, both are gone. So they just replaced it with Bert, and they have their central piece in Lucho. And I think that's something that either Mihalovic, maybe a Cole, or maybe even a Omir can be for the Rapids. And then you just can keep replacing around them as the further and further you get down the current iteration of the team.
Duane, long time Rapids season ticket holder. You've been to as many games as anyone I know. There's probably some people who've been to everyone, but you've been to a lot. And how are you feeling right now about this club right now?
I mean, I was thinking about this as I was frantically getting ready for the pod. And I was just thinking about everyone just crapping on Porg in the front office.
Deservedly.
Deservedly. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm just, just the vitriol coming out. And I just feel, this is just in my little cartoon head, of the constant cartoon going in my head is just Porg saying like, all right, you know what? F you guys. And putting on his chef hat and just cracking his knuckles and just going into the kitchen and just like, you guys don't think I can ball? Like, I'm going to show you. You think I'm an accountant? I'm an accountant and I can't come up with good signings? I'm going to show you what's up right now. And he has just been putting it together with the rest. Look, it's not just Porg. It's the front office. It's a team in there that is looking at these players. And man, it's like Yaya said, previous off seasons, you feel like it's, the Rapids home for broken things, and it's a reclamation project every time with every signing. Not every signing, but a lot of them. And this does not feel like that.
Well, that's interesting because, on paper, these three, the big 3 additions, Stefan, Mihailovic, and Sammy Vines are in theory reclamation projects, right? They made moves overseas that didn't work and they underperformed and they fell out of the national team picture. Vines got injured before the World Cup, and so maybe that's. But he's on a it's like you have a bunch of fringe guys who have stuff to prove, and I'm not sure which MLS account it was on Twitter earlier, but they said this is something to prove FC, right? So these are reclamation projects, but it's higher ceiling
and
higher floor. Sorry, higher floor reclamation.
I think that's right? The important thing is like they're not MLS reclamation projects; they're international reclamation projects that should, like you said, the floor is much higher,
right?
It's not can they compete at MLS level, like we already know that, which is why they went outside and now they've come back to get it back together, get minutes so that they play on the national team, whatever. I don't really care why they need the minutes. I'm just glad they're here to get them.
Yeah, it's really cool. This is I watched Tom Bogert's video he put up after all the news was breaking and the confirmations and whatnot. And the way he put it in a way I really, really liked thinking about it is if you look at last season, how many players that were starting consistently or, rotation guys would start on another playoff team in the West? Cole?
Yeah.
Keegan?
I think maybe Keegan and Gutman.
Yeah. Maxu would.
You had four of the guys. Four of the returning starters are the guys that would roll
and that's it. One. And you turned over the rest of the roster.
You can tell the guys that would be a piece in the playoff spot if they're still there, and that's how a guy like Bombi would be a rotation piece on a playoff team. A guy like Ronan, a guy like Basley. But you look at you look at the rest of the roster. There's a reason it got turned over. There's a reason they're no longer here, and those spots are up for grabs.
Let's talk Vines specifically. The Vines back roll was something that Yaya was very passionate about when we started this pod, was finding the guy to play Vines back, basically. And, Lucas had his moments and Gutman had his moments and, there wasn't – Gersbach obviously was a 0. So, they really struggled to fill that role. And what this says to me is – we've all kind of mocked the Rapids way and how Padraig says he wants to play a certain specific system, but all these players are fitting right into that, right? And like knew when it was Lucas and Gutman and all these left backs that just weren't the left back you needed. Now Vines is back and we know that he fits that role, right? So you're seeing these things kind of settle in as advertised. Now, is it going to work? Still TBD, right? But it's just like you see it fitting light years better than rosters previous, right? All the pieces make sense where they are right now.
And people forget, man, that when Fraser started, a lot of the style of football that was played here in Colorado was transition football, was a football that was created on defending and trying to get the ball up as quickly as possible. And that's something Tammy accelerated at, and that's why he went to Europe, and that's why he was scattered overseas. Now you come in with somebody like Armis that plays the exact same way of football. It's how you said, it's going to be a perfect fit. But now it's also, it feels like the pressure is no longer just feels like the pressure has shifted from Padraig, can you build the right team, to now Armis, can you control the team and make the team good enough to compete? So it feels like Armis is being put in a place of to succeed and put all the right pieces in the right place. Now it comes down to him if he can actually put the pieces in the right place and create that dynamic team that we expect competing for a home playoff spot at this point.
Is that what you're expecting? Duane, do you think that's a fair bar to set, home playoff game?
I think it's a competing for it, not
sure. So 5 seed, 6 seed, top 6 seed.
I think the goal. And this goes outside of soccer, but I think you set the goal on anything, and you set it just above your level, which right now is a playoff berth, and then you want to set, I think, for yourself or for your team, whatever. You want to set stretch goals, so I think the goal, the must-have goal is the playoffs. And I think stretch goal, let's push hard to get that home playoff.
Right.
I think that's probably the most realistic way to look at kind of where we're at right now. I mean,
Yeah.
how can you not, obviously push for a playoff berth, but with all these pieces coming in, you can't show up and go, let's just have a good season. I think everyone knows when they look around the locker room and they see that the Rapids machine is built of almost completely new parts. You're expecting that machine to perform,
Right.
and like success is expected. So I think that mentality is going to be there just looking around the room,
Totally. Yeah. Do you want me to clear out for 2 or 3 minutes so you can talk about how much you love Sammy Vines?
And I don't even need that much time, honestly. Like, it's so simple. Like, you're getting an elite MLS back. I kept saying Kai Wagner, but you're getting your own Kai Wagner back basically when you have a guy like Sammy in the back.
Totally.
You get a guy that
Totally.
now has Champions League experience. He didn't make the roster,
Well,
unfortunately, and I feel like
probably why
that's
he's here.
yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the
honestly.
big parting reasons. Honestly, he has suffered a couple of injuries, which is always a risk. Bringing a guy that just coming off some injuries that he hasn't had as much playing time. But at the end of the day, man, you're getting a guy that's a very versatile defender that can attack, that has the speed that Armas is looking for, but at the same time has recovery speed that can keep ahead of his defensive duties. He's not going to let the ball by him that quickly, which is one of the things we saw with Guman. Guman would just run up and then he'd get beat on the left side. That new left side of the Rapids whole formation, it's going to be insane.
Pull it up.
Yeah.
Let's talk. It's
Dude,
Sammy in the back. Ronan, Bassett will definitely lean left. And then Sammy to Milovic. I mean, that's.
And not even then just that, man. You look at it, you got a Sammy Vines, and then you got Omir Fernandez, who's that's favorite spot as well. He's probably going to play the right.
Yeah.
But if anything happens to Mihalovic or Bassett, and Mihalovic has to play that 10, you can move Omir, and that side is going to be just as dangerous on that
Maybe
left.
Kamani breaks out by the end of season. Maybe Lewis or Cabral, can find some of that form.
But now you still have Calvin Harris, man. You still have Calvin Harris out there. That to me was such a key piece. To me, he can be your Barrios of 2 years ago, where he can come in and just be the spark you need. And you still have Galvan, who I think can play the 10 behind Bassett in case of anything. He can play the left, he can play the right. In the back five formation, he can play the wing back. Now you've created yourself such a huge dynamic where this team can sub in different spots, and you can have 15 different formations out there now, 15 different combinations of players that can create and that can do the transition football you're looking for. So to me, this team is being built to compete into all the competitions and compete into the US Open Cup and Leagues Cup and have that depth to go all the way in all the competitions.
Man, this is can you actually pull that up again? I know it's but look at these new additions on here. You were saying it earlier, right? Like, look at your back line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You're only bringing back 7, right? But Vines, Navarro, Nate Jones, Zach Steffen, Beaudry signs. Go up to that midfield. You're looking at probably 3 new signings minimum, right? Up top, you're looking at 3, potentially 4 or 5 new signings. It's the turnover is real. They assessed last season. They looked at what was going on there, and they finally held poor performance accountable, and they turned it all over. No one was safe here. No one.
Even their new signings from last year, you bring in a guy like Marko Ilic, who you spent quite a pretty penny on, and he no longer just started right away. You bring in a guy like Mihalovic, and you just brought in Kevin Cabral. He didn't perform. Sorry, man. We need another DP that can fulfill your spot. That's what it should be. You are fixing your mistakes, and that's what you want as a Rapids fan, right? Admit that you had something wrong, and then try to fix it to become even better, and that's what we're getting this offseason.
Duane, give this offseason so far for you a Rapids rating.
Oh, 5 out of 5 Rapids.
5 out of 5 Rapids?
I don't know if I have any other ranking.
How about out of 50 Rapids?
Woo! Out of 50, that's closer. Gonna go with 50 out of 50
Wow.
Rapids.
Wow. That's a lot of Rapids.
I will say this. I just reached into the desk drawer back here in the office.
Mhm.
I'm not a card collector.
Okay.
It's not my thing. But a friend of mine has like a card business where he collects only U.S. men's national team players.
Interesting.
And I happen to be looking around just to kind of learn what he does because I don't really understand card trading. And I found these like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they're like two of the only cards that I own.
Okay.
Ooh.
How about it?
My guy, Sammy
Wow.
Vines.
Wow.
So they've been sitting here in a drawer, and I just looked down and went, "Oh yeah, it's time to bust out the Sammy Vines cards."
Good stuff.
Man.
I don't even have a
That
Jack
is some
Price
good stuff.
card. Like that's how much I don't collect cards. This is my only Rapids card that I have.
And that's
Sammy
So
Vines
Let's
back
go.
on the squad.
let's go.
Let's go.
bring back Estevez
13.
too.
He's back.
Bring back Estevez while we're at it. And Rubio and Jack.
Ultimate shithousery. Let's go. Speaking of adding, right? That starting six, and Bogert emphasized it today in his video, and we've heard as much, that they are looking for, the six. Like, while we all thought Lofelson was a really nice move, I think he really is a really nice move. They're still coming, right? An improvement is coming to that starting lineup. Do you guys have anything on the wish list, names in mind, anything like that you'd want to see kind of fill that out? I threw out Kellen Acosta on the timeline today. People were into it. I am into it.
This is what I mean, dude. People gave me shit when I said Sammy Vine a couple weeks ago.
You had him on the list?
I had him on the list.
him on the
I'm
list.
like, Sammy Vines, dude. And we had heard rumblings from different sources from around the league.
It's been going for like a year and a half.
Months. Exactly. And the latest we heard, we're like, all right, it's probably still very close to happening. And I'm like, I don't know if it's going to go completely through, but it is possible. You know what I mean? It's possible that we still get a Sammy Vines reunion. That's why I don't think a Kellen Acosta reunion is out of the world. You pay him good money, he's going to come here. That's all these dudes want to ball. He liked Colorado, and you can mend relationships. You can always fix stuff. This is going to be a good thing. And I for me, if I'm looking at a signing, I think it's just going to be a U22 initiative. I still believe Sidney Tavares is going to be gone by the end of it. And I think they're going to invest the money into a six. And I think that's why Lofelson is such a key addition, because in case that U22 doesn't work out, you have a guy that can come in and fill that role. So I'm all in for bringing a U22 and see what happens. And see if we can get a baller, because you have the insurance now with a guy like Lofelson that can help out.
Can you pull up our guy Scott's comment that just came through? Shout out to everybody in the chat. The whole gang's here. It's pretty dope to see it. Hope you guys are staying warm out there and staying safe. Scott says, I would love to have Kellen back, but would he give Porg the time of day? Like what? Last week, the rumor was that Vines wasn't going to give the Rapids the time of day, right?
Yep.
That was kind of the scuttlebutt. And he's here, and he's signed, and he's ready to go. Because there's not giving Porg the time of day when you're sitting looking at last year's roster, and then there's giving Porg the time of day now that you're looking at this year's roster and who you're going to play with and who's in goal and the scoring talent in front of you. It is why not bring Kellen back? I'm starting that train right here, right now. Kellen train. Let's roll, baby.
And
woo, woo, let's go.
And Kellen was another guy that we talked about him before, dude. Like, there's the thing. In the MLS, shithousery is going to happen all the time. Another name that I would love to see here is Pereira, Daniel Pereira, out in Austin FC. I know the Rapids were all the way in him when he was drafted.
It's like a $4 million buy, maybe. Or, GAM's different, so maybe it's,
GAM it out.
GAM, yeah.
Yo, GAM it out and give him a winger. You want Kevin Cabral?
We'll cover half of what is left of being covered of Kevin Cabral's catch.
Little Kevin Cabral GAM interaction, and we get Daniel Pereira. Give me it. Hazani Dotson, which Quanners was all over that, so give me that. there's so many options that you can look around, and I think there's so many realistic options because everything that we didn't think was possible, like Zach Steffen, Mihalovic, and all these guys, is now our reality. So why not dream big, dude? Give me a U22. Give me a guy like Daniel Pereira. Give me a Hassani Dotson. Give me a guy that's gonna be a defender and it's gonna complete this team. I'm still not as sold that you need a 6 as dearly as people that say, but I still think that if you're gonna target a position, that should be where you target it.
You pull up Ricardo's there too, bud. Look, there were some those 2 press conferences with Porg, like late season. The one post Frazier getting fired, and the one before that, it was the tension was thick in that room. It was uncomfortable. You had everyone on Twitter like you guys need to ask him this. You need to hold them accountable. And like, not wrong to do that, but you could feel that. Like, I'm so excited to go in to media day and really focus on, soccer, like a good soccer team playing, right? And like, look, we're still going to be following up about the protests. We're going to follow up about the fan survey that went out, and the state of seating and concessions and scoreboard. That stuff's not out the window, but it will be nice to talk to the players and talk to a bunch of them, and the mood be positive. You can tell that people are excited to come to work, because there was a lot of times at the Dick last year, game day or otherwise, where it was very plain to read it. These guys were not excited to come to work, right?
Why would you?
Yeah. Well, you're right. Why would
I wasn't excited, and I was covering the team. I didn't even work there, and I wasn't excited to go into work.
I was like, oh God, Rapids Day. We have to talk about the Rapids. God.
But you know what? We're here. The motto of this offseason is look at us. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Look at us. Anything else you guys want to hit on there? I mean, I know we went a little longer than we said we would on our end.
It's fine. The one real thing on this is what I mean about people saying the whole Fleming thing is going to prevent Sammy Vines.
Oh yeah, because of the daughter relationship.
It doesn't matter. Those things don't matter as much as you think they do. And I'm just going to tell you, like, that's why Kalen Acosta's responsibility. You show them the money, you sell them on the vision, and they're going to come to Colorado. And honestly, like, that's what's going on, man. Porg and Chris are selling all these guys on a vision, and the vision is being the best, being the top team in all the league. And you hear it from Mihalovic at MLS Media Day. You heard it on Omir on our interview that we did with him when he first got here. You can go check that out on our YouTube page. They sold him on a vision of being...
Give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, of course. They sold him on a vision of being the best team, of competing and being the greatest team in MLS.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's going to come to fruition, but they're trying and they're putting the money behind the project, and it's going to come out to see. Now it just comes out to see if it's actually going to come to fruition. But I'm all the way in on this team right now.
Duane, talk to me. How you feeling? You look like you're very deep in thought. Are you just so happy? Are you cooking up?
I'm always, what are you doing? I'm always deep in thought, but I'm also reading the chat. So whenever my eyes glaze over, part of it's me thinking about the club, but I love reading the chat. So
your chat's popping in here today, baby.
Yeah. So we do read the chat while you put in there all of your comments. So
man, it might be cold outside, but it ain't cold in the kitchen, baby. They're cooking.
It is. They're frying it up.
Ooh, I like Jared's question here. Let's go around. Who wants to go first?
Oh wow, where do predict?
Shout out Jared, Burgundy Social. Hey, their Backseat 38 pod's back. Go listen to their last step.
Oh man, this is like early, like silly time predicted finish.
Yeah, end of the day. Yaya's probably calling a treble, but I'm just gonna, we'll see.
Oh, I put that in our little group chat. I'm like, I'm fucking getting hammered when they went to treble.
Duane, what you think?
I'm gonna go with. I'm trying to think of the West right now.
Garbage, all of them.
I'm gonna go 5th in the West. That's my early season prediction. Disclaimer: disclaimer, I could change that in either direction by the time we do our actual predictions.
I mean,
yeah.
look, a 6 is coming in. They got all training camp. You can kind of see, like, let's really quick. We'll do our predictions, and then I also want to ask you a question about camp because it's starting next week. Okay, go.
Dope. I'm gonna ride this wave with Julio, and I'm gonna call it a third. But again, we'll do all our off-season predictions here in about a week or two, and we'll have all our videos. But third, I think, is a realistic option. I think it's something where the West hasn't improved as much. You saw St. Louis last year kind of started dipping at the end, and I think that's possible again. I don't see teams like Austin reinforcing. I don't see teams like Minnesota, unless maybe Minnesota with a new coach, but they have that whole debacle right now with their head coach. And I think third is right for grabs. LAFC still kind of struggling. Galaxy would be another strong contender. Houston. And then you got teams like Sounders. I just don't see a lot of teams in the West that have added enough to compete anymore. And I think it's going to be some like decision day craziness where at the end of it, it's like the top 5 spots moved. And it ended up being like the Rapids number 3 by pure coincidence, but they can end up in 5 or they can end up in second. So I'm going to just kind of go in the middle and be like, third is going to be like the safe play. Once I actually start looking more into it, I can kind of guess what it is.
I mean, look, for me, it's like playoff team, right? Playoff team. There were 6 0-0 games last year. I don't see that happening at the Richard. 6. I don't see that happening. I don't. And maybe I'm wrong. Look, maybe we're building ourselves up. Maybe we're on the part of the cycle where our hopes are up, and then June comes and reality crashes down, right? But look, I think this is a much better team. I think you're better at every single level right now. Right now, even without adding that 6, I think your midfield is stronger with Waffleson behind those 2 guys. I think the attack is light years ahead, right? I think you have options to start everywhere. If some of the guys, the holdover guys, have good camps and force themselves into starting spots instead of outbounds or something like that, you're looking at a deep team. I think playoff win is kind of what you're hoping for, right? And playoff team is what you should kind of expect from them, right? Like you're going to be putting up all these tweets from the club account that you're cooking and writing words in the chef emoji and really like, you're talking it now, but you better be ready. Right. And you need guys like Rafa to produce, and you need Cole to keep it going. And, there's a lot on the line. And I think that can go 2 ways, right? Either they can struggle and let the weight of those expectations and redemption and getting better bring them down, or they can use that as fuel together with a good team and a coach who really cares about his players and is a player's guy and a motivator, and you can be a playoff team. I really do. I really think they can be a playoff team there. I'm excited. I am. I'm ready for soccer.
Wait. So what spot? You have to give a number. You said playoff team, but not.
I'll say 4. I'll say 4 seed.
Right.
Fighting for a 4 seed. The range is 6 to 4 for me.
I really do just think.
I think 4 is best case, 6 is worst case.
I honestly
maybe not. Worst case is not making the worst case is last year. That's worst case. So from last year to 4 seed.
I really do think all these teams are just going to be kind of like in a pack all year.
Well, you're looking at teams too. Like Evander might get sold. I mean, they're saying they're not, but what if someone really wants Evander? Are they going to say no to $10 million in Portland? Right? Like,
I think they need like 12 in order to get
sure, but they're not going to say no.
Exactly.
Like there's the West. Look at LAFC. They're still going to be good because they're LAFC. But if Belonga's gone, if Vela's gone, retirement home like, Courtois in
Ile, like there's just so many question marks, in my opinion, in the West that it's really hard.
Or Lloris.
Yeah, there's just really hard to like
Lloris.
It's just hard to like predict that, but I think it's all going to be a big bunch. I think once you like. If you get into like Leagues Cup and all that and US Open Cup, the East I think is going to be way stronger, and I think that's where you're going to have some trouble. But I think if you're just competing in the West, you'll have a lot more room for like mistakes and moving up and down the whole Western Conference.
I'm also going to say that we're going to get out of group in Leagues Cup.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think they're deep enough. I think they're like quarterfinals, semifinals, and
Let's
Open Cup.
go.
Honestly,
Ooh.
they're deep enough, and then they still have the best,
Let's go.
probably the best MLS Next Pro team in all the league.
Oh yeah, by the way, Ollie and Hanya and Remy and Marlon, those guys all might just be him too, right? Like you might just have a bunch of dudes. Crazy.
Like we have so much. It's gonna be fun. You have depth, and that's what you want, especially in these type of competitions. So,
Maybe that's the way Messi gets to Commerce City is Leagues Cup.
oh, I didn't even think about that.
That would be the littest thing
Oh.
of all time. Hell yeah.
That is brilliant.
Let's go.
That's amazing.
And one real quick thing, I will say that people are saying Frazier, he must be mad right now that the Rapids are making these moves. What I've heard from people inside the club and some front office people is that it was
Insider
really
Yahir?
hard. It's not insider. I don't want to say it's insider because it's just like conversations we've had, and it's about how hard it was to try to get people into Colorado under Frazier, not because they didn't like Frazier, not because Frazier was a bad coach or a bad person, but because the style of system that he was playing varied from week to week, and it was not very easy to identify players here or there to come and play on the system. Now that you bring Armis and he knows what he wants to play, he knows what system from the beginning, and he's going to stick to it. It's easier to identify players around the world and in other leagues and tell you, hey, this is the guy that we want here. There's the guy that's going to do really well, and that's why he should be coming to the Rapids. So to me, it comes down not too much as Frazier, but it comes down more to the consistency of having all these guys being able to identify the right players.
Damn. That's perfect. You nailed it. There's a culture being built, right? And Armis still has to prove it on the field, but it's very clear they're looking for a specific style of player, and they have a locker room that they're trying to build in a specific way. And, they have a bunch of guys that have known each other from outside the Rapids on the field, right? Like Stefan, Georgie, Cole, Sammy, like they've seen each other in U.S. camps and around, and these guys know that these guys are good. It's very clear to them too. I've heard a lot of the players are very excited right now. Like the holdovers are very excited. And how could they not be? Like, how could they not be? How could you not be?
Does part of you wonder if Stan is like, oh, if I invest to get players into the Rapids, I might be able to get them on loan on Arsenal later on?
Let's go.
That's not a rule now. So he's like, oh, that could be like my Arsenal too, and I can just use it for all my Arsenal things.
Use it as the European Reclamation House, and then if they work, send them to the Gooners.
I mean, why not? Girona in Spain does it with Man City, and it works great.
Yeah, you're right.
Why can't we beer Girona? Give us we can beer Girona. Like, give us 10 of the top 10 players that you want.
Now, give us now.
Like
now.
I'm happy to do that. So.
All right, let's think. Let's recap real quick before we get out of here. Right, off season. Out Yarby, Danny Wilson, Gutman, Sam Nicholson, Diego Rubio, Jack Price. Am I missing anybody?
Jack Price, Diego Rubio, Danny Wilson, Sam Nicholson. I think that's
right?
It.
Out.
You said Yarby. Yeah.
Yeah, Yarby.
Yeah.
Here, we'll put it up.
Sure. In Zach Steffen in goal. Adam Beaudry into the first team.
Gutman's
also he mentioned
Sammy Vines and Miguel Navarro at outside back. You draft Nate Jones. Like right there, I'm in. This defense, you added some dudes. These are dudes. The Bombi Ascension. Is this the Bombi Ascension year?
This is the Bombi year, man. He's 2024. Turning 2024 in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Bombi year right there.
It's the Bombi year, the golden year of Bombi. You move up to the midfield. Yeah, you lose Sammy. But Priso, Ollie, Cole, and Ronan still around. You draft Wayne Frederick, a guy they've been tracking for a very long time. You acquire Jasper Loffelson. Is it Jasper or Jasper? Jasper.
I would say Jasper just because
Jasper.
I'm gonna say Jasper because I love that name.
Jasper Loffelson.
Jasper.
And then you're adding another 6, according to a lot of reports, including our own. You go up to the attack. Luis Diaz. I thought Luis Diaz was good. Rubio, obviously. But it wasn't good enough. And you add Mihailovic. You add Kamani Stewart-Baines in the draft. You add Omir Fernandez first in free agency. You need Rafa Navarro to make these next few months good, right? And all of a sudden, look at this squad. I mean, this is awesome. This is very, very fun. I'm so excited to watch this. I'm all offseason I'm saying I don't care if they're good, I care if they're interesting. But now I think they have a chance to be both. I think they have a chance to be both good and interesting. This team's going to play a very specific style. You have guys who can play everywhere. You have connectors and Ronan and Bassett and Mihailovic. You have finishers. Hopefully you added a couple finishers in Omir and hopefully Navarro can find that form with these pieces around him and maybe Yappy gets his goal. And
I think Yappy is going to be a key piece this year, man.
He needs to be, right? All of a sudden you kind of look at that and it's like, that's the spot. That's the spot.
Dustin Hahn, I'm getting this graphic tattooed on my chest.
It's crazy, man. This is crazy. I'm so excited. This 6 is going to say a lot about how this team can play, right? Like, is Ronan going to have to play back more in a double pivot, or are they going to have a guy back there, like a real tank that can kind of be a fifth backliner and let Ronan push up into those gaps there? It's exciting. It's really like, is it going to be a Kellen? Is it even going to be like a ring type, or what's the profile of that? Is it a deep line playmaker? Is it how are you going to fill out that 6? Because it's really, there's a lot of ways you could go. It needs to be a tackler first and foremost, right? The midfield was atrocious in defense last year.
That's why a Daniel Pereira, Hassan Dotson really makes sense. Young 25-year-old fits that age group that the Rapids are targeting right now. Guys that could still make the move to Europe if they want to. I think the guy has to be a deep line playmaker that's a hard-nosed tackler and that's willing to push up, but also can just read the game without being super athletic.
Bruiser. Need a bruiser.
And I think at the end of the day, that's good. That's why I want a Hassan Dotson and Daniel Pereira. They're guys that are well positioned at all times, because that allows your back line to be confident that you have a line of defense in front of you. And if you have a 6 that can just be positioned, be ready to intercept, be ready to step in front of the ball, that's exactly what you need. And those are just my 2. Like, I'm praying right now, like that Daniel Pereira's a Rapid.
Could you imagine?
Like, that's my
they said
guy,
cooking,
dude.
Right? It wasn't just like they're getting a guy. Because I think Loffelson, when I saw that Loffelson come through and it was, an emphasis on this is a depth signing. This isn't the guy we're bringing in to save the midfield. This is a guy who's going to help the midfield, but, keep your eye out for a name guy. I think Loffelson's good enough to start back there. His profile says he's going to, fill the hole of what was missing last year defensively in that midfield. And, I think he can play really well with Ronan and Bassett, but man, if they could really add like a dude to that 6th, if the forecast of cooking continuing is accurate,
if the menu is correct, let's get that menu, baby.
Anything else we need to hit there, Duane? Final thoughts?
I mean, my thing's always going to be goals. We
have to save them too, though. We have to stop goals too.
We have to stop goals, but we stopped a lot of goals last year and ended up with a lot of 0 versus 0. I don't want more 0-0s. 0-0 draws. Like, we'll see. I mean, I do think the pieces are a little stronger this year, and hopefully the new players that we have will get the ball to Rafa and he becomes who we were hoping he was. So if that's the case, man, what a difference in teams from last year to this year. It's going to be bananas.
Kevin, we have to change the pod motto.
Let's try stuff.
It's no longer Latin for let's try stuff. It's Latin for let's add a dude.
Add a dude.
That is so funny. Yeah, it's Hendo. Let's save Hendo from Saudi. Bring Hendo over. I'll forgive him. I'll forgive him for his Liverpool past. Let's bring him over.
Let's just
Bring
get
him
content.
over.
Let's get N'Golo, man. Screw it.
Casemiro, they want to save on their wage bill at United. Bring him over. Bring him over. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I'm with Keith on this. I think Rafa's gonna finally break out.
God, I
Okay,
want him to.
so
I just
end
want
of
him to
June.
go crazy. I want like 20 goals from him. I just want to go just absolute batshit crazy.
What's a realistic number before you have to make the decision on that trigger? Right? Is that end of
Realistic?
July?
By June?
I think it's end of July. I think it's
Yeah.
end of July.
Oh, end of July. I thought it was end of June.
It might be end of June. There's so many reports in my head from everyone. It's tough to remember back to
Either way, June, July.
Summer.
June, July. We'll just go there.
And don't trade Chris Little, dude. Chris Little's your guy. I'm sorry. Chris Little and Armas are gonna cook and with that Colorado team.
They're the two people. You know what I mean? They're people coaches. They're so good. I think that I love that. Let's see.
What's the number? So
that's what I'm asking. What do you think?
So
March
through mid-July. How many
I think
goals?
a dozen goal contributions, 10 goal contributions in that range.
I think it has to be 7 actual goals.
Sure.
Because you're a goal scorer. I think 7's the number. Because I think you want to be
7 would have led the team last year. Just
exactly
for what that's worth. 7 would have led the team last year.
Well, this ain't the same team, is it, baby? We cooking this year.
Right. For real.
I think 7's a legit number. And I think it's with Mihalovic having 5 assists, Omir having another 5, and each.
I don't know what the assist record is for the team in a season. We might have to break a tracker out like we did for Rubio's quest for the goal record. Mihalovic might have himself another year, man. Rafa 20 goals is sold. I wouldn't be mad at that.
I would keep him on the Raptors.
God, 20 goals? Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. Fellas, we said we were going to go 15. We went 45. Is there anything we want to do you think we missed anything? Anything else you guys want to hit on? Anything we want to talk about? Anything you want to talk about for Media Day on Monday?
Bunch of content coming out.
Content,
Monday.
baby.
Content. We're going to have a bunch of stuff coming on Media Day. One other thing, we're still going to do our preview videos where we break down the defense, break down the midfield, and break down the offense, and then we do our predictions. You guys really seem to enjoy it last year, so we're going to try to keep doing that every year going forward. Again, let us know what content you want, man. If you guys want breakdowns of each play, we can do that, of goals and stuff like that. We can do that. We have the bandwidth.
If you want Duane to show some feet, let's talk about it. DM, slide into the DMs.
That's a private DM for $20, my guy, right there. It's called Only Feet.
Super chat for Duane Feet.
It's called the Golden Boot. That's the award.
Look,
That got weird.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was funny.
Weird and funny. That's our whole brand.
I think to kind of wrap it up, great move so far. I think there's still just a few little things here and there on the roster, probably some outbounds, probably some inbounds, some kind of figure out what works. You have players going to Mexico this week, literally.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'll throw up to answer Emily's question there. I'll throw up something on the DNVR Rapids account here this afternoon. Go ahead and reply to that. Get your questions in there. We'll try and get what we can answered. Let me find the list because I do think it's pretty interesting and I think it'd be cool to talk about. But we have, I know we're talking to Stefan. I know we're talking to Georgie. I know we're talking to Cole. I know we're talking to Coach. I know we're talking to
Porig,
and
Keegan.
Maybe Keegan.
Yeah, Keegan,
and then maybe one
Keegan.
more.
I thought we got Armas, Porig, Rosenberry, Cole, Omir, Miguel Navarro, Mihalovic, and Zach.
There you go. So
got the whole squad.
if you have questions with those guys in mind, we'll try and spread them out and then see what they're excited for. See, we're gonna try and get a little side content, maybe some TikTok style stuff with some of the guys too. We'll have our social guy there with us, Nick. And should be pretty fun. Yeah. Do you want to plug us out of here?
I will. DNV_Rapids. That's where you can submit your questions. When you see that later on Twitter, give us a 5-star review wherever you hear this pod, because we are a podcast as well. So you can follow us everywhere you hear your podcast. And giving us a thumbs up on this video is always going to make us feel good, but it's also going to
Please.
show everybody around the world that you guys support us and you guys want to keep seeing our content, and that helps us go a long way. So please do all of that.
Duane?
Do those things, become a diehard. We're already cooking up takeover events for this year, Rapids takeovers. Man, there's no better time to jump in. Here is a special thing. Let's throw this out because we always forget. And Mitch, help me out if I miss some of the details, or Yaya. Go into the Bet365 app.
Correct.
Enter, is it DNVR?
DNVR.
365.
Yep.
Enter the code DNVR 365. You put in $10, and then I think you get $150 to play with in there.
Rapids 10,000 to 1.
Yep. The other thing that you get with that code is that you get a free DNVR t-shirt. And with that deal, so if you've been wanting to get a DNVR Rapids shirt
or anything else, I'll send you.
I'll send you
a buff shirt. I don't want to send you a Rams shirt, so don't ask.
Nuggets, Buffs, Rams, just general DNVR, whatever it is.
And you send an email with your proof. It's promos or promo at thednvr.com. I'll put that up.
We'll look it up. But anyway, if you're thinking about if you want to basically,
or just tell me that you did it. Send me a screenshot that you did it.
$10 to jump in, and you get $150 and a t-shirt of your choice. That is a dope deal.
Can I plug something for us?
Go ahead, man.
Go to dnvrlocker.com and buy a hoodie. It's freezing. It won't get here before it's warm, but at least you'll know that you have it on the way. And maybe that'll make you feel better.
And no, Kevin, you cannot exchange your Let's Ride shirt. You wear that.
Sorry,
with
all
shame.
sales are final on Russell Wilson gear. That's your own fault.
You wear that with shame.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thanks. Okay. Like and subscribe. Go become a diehard. Get your discount. Get your free shirt. Get your bar discount. Get all that fun stuff. Get behind the paywall. Support your locals. It's been a fun little off season for the locals. Been a fun off season for us. Hopefully, it's been a fun off season for you guys. And, more important than all that, baby, up the pits.